Story the Bard, welcome to your chat RPG session. I hope you're ready to brave the dungeon and hopefully come away victorious. I'm sure. I'm sure this is going to work out great. Alright, so, Story, it looks like you already know what you want to be. You want to be a dwarf street urchin fighter. Alright, well, I can certainly write that down in my notes here. I've run out of room on the bottom of that already, so let me do 1, 2, 3, just put 4 up here, that's fine. Dwarf, street urchin, fighter. It's going to give you a lot of hit points at least. You got that going for you. Hit point wise, let's see, 10, 20, yeah, we're going to go ahead and call that 22 hit points. That makes you the hero with the most hit points that have been sent. So, here's how this is going to work, Story. You have decided that your character is a dwarven street urchin fighter. It's a fair number of street urchins being sent into this dungeon. Eventually, they'll notice that all these street urchins are missing. So, Steve! That is a huge amount of luck for Story. Story, that's going to earn you a free reroll. So you get 1 free reroll during this. Thank you very much, Steve. Securing your spot at the top with Iron Grip. Alright, so, Story. We know you are playing a dwarven street urchin fighter. What is your character's name? Or did I miss that? With a maul shaped like a lute. Sure. You got a big hammer. Congrats. So, what's the name of your dwarven street urchin fighter? Philantrix! Thank you for the bits, Philantrix. The extra 1,000. Fable the Forgotten. Alright. Alright. Well, you got a big pile of luck waiting for you, so hopefully things will go your way. We'll see. So, Fable the Forgotten. 158 bits. Thank you, Nitrace. Nitrace, I'm not sure I've seen you in this stream before. I've seen you on the Paizo stream a lot, but welcome to my little stream, and thank you for the bits. Story. You awaken in the corner of the inn that you passed out in last night. You had spent your last meager copper pieces on a long drink from the Jug of All Sorts. It sits down at the end of the tavern. It's where they dump the rest of everyone else's drinks, and for really cheap, you can drink from it. It's like cheaper than the cheapest liquor and alcohol they have. It's also like half spit. But when you're down to your last copper, that's what you drink. So, you had a big long drink from the All Sorts last night and passed out. Nitrace, thank you for the sub. So, you woke up this morning with an absolutely splitting headache. And part of that is because you just got kicked in the head by a guard who's looking at you like, "Oi! King wants to speak to you. He's got a mission." And moments later, you are dragged through the city streets to the throne room of King Baron Talymir. He looks down at you and he's kind of shakes his head. He doesn't look very impressed by what he's seeing. A dwarf with a big, giant maul, lute-shaped maul, who's covered in his own sick. Tip the barkeep and follow. Yeah, that was your last copper. Oh, hey, Valantrix. Yeah, congrats. That's a big deal. Thank you for the bits. That's awesome. So the Baron looks at you and says, I have heard of your... who am I kidding? Listen, I have something I need recovered, and I'm running out of street urchins, but you're still here, so I would like you to travel to retrieve a ring I lost recently. I've sent a number of people to go find it, and none of them have returned. So it's time for me to send brute force to go solve the matter. So I would like you to go on this quest for me. I would like you to travel to this nearby dungeon where I, as a lad, lost a ring. What's in it for you? Well, the grateful reward of your king, as well as 100 gold stags. I think that should be reward enough for just going and retrieving a simple ring. It will be enough to allow you to continue drinking out of that nasty barrel at the end of the bar. The guards told me all about it when you arrived. Yes, I figured it would. It looks like you could really use 100 gold crowns. So I will provide you a map. All you need to do is go retrieve the ring and bring it back to me. It's a simple enough task. I lost it many years ago. I'm sure it's just sitting in the middle of the dungeon waiting for someone to go pick it up. Where do I want you to kill? Well, I'll provide you a map. It'll lead you to this dungeon, and all you need to do is go inside and get the ring. That's it. Yeah, the guards will provide it to you on the way out. I sent someone else about 2 days ago, but they haven't returned, so I'm assuming that they just ran off with my supplies and my gracious gifts of food and a horse, and have not come back. This barony is filled with rogues and vagabonds that steal from me on the constant. Yeah, no, they weren't you. Yes, well, that's why I'm sending you. I've heard nothing but good things. Sorry, what was your name again? Fable? Yes, I've heard nothing but good things. Well, I'm a busy Baron. I have many advisors lined up to tell me things and hand me presents. So I'm going to send you on your way. No, he to be clear, he's never sent anyone with a horse. That's just a bunch of bull he just made up. Yeah, nobody had a horse. He hasn't given anyone a horse. He's just assuming they're dead. He just doesn't want to say it. That's all that's going on. Very well, Fable. That's what the guards told me. He looks down at a small scrap of parchment. Yes, Fable. Yes, go, retrieve my ring and. Nitrace, thank you for the bits. All right, so you gather up yourself, basically, and on your way out, the guards hand you a map. Nitrace, I do have an XP system. As a matter of fact, this entire game is being run because of the XP system. For 500 XP, you get to participate in the in-chat RPG. So you can watch all the previous episodes on my YouTube channel. This is a persistent dungeon. Everyone who plays it continues to play the same dungeon until it's solved. So, just because I know you missed it. So, Fable, you gather up your belongings, you're handed a map, and you make your way. The king makes it clear that you must go immediately. There's no time to waste. So what do you do? What do you do, Fable? The guards have... Story, I can see that you're hunting for rerolls. Considering all of the bits that have been thrown at you, I will give you 2. So you have 2 rerolls, but that's it. That's all you're getting. This isn't a buy rerolls kind of thing. That'll get out of hand real quick. Head recklessly to the site. Of course you do. Of course you do. Alright, so you march... so you get your map. You march the several hours to the dungeon site. And on your way, you encounter a dead body. The dead body has 4 objects on him. You can take one of them. It would be rude to take more than one. Face first and covered in sick. Yeah, that sounds like Fable. Fable the Forgotten. So the body has 4 items on it. You can take one. It has a potion with some sort of blue liquid in it. Exactly 8 feet of rope. A horseshoe. And 1 rusty piton. That's what the body has. What would you like to take? Potion of last dab. That's a bad idea. You take nothing. Interesting. Alright. Respecting the dead. Look at you. Alright. So, Story the Bard. You leave the corpse behind and continue making your way toward the dungeon following the map. About another hour passes, and you soon find yourself standing in the front of a crumbling hillside, the center of which is an opening leading down into darkness. Yeah, I still haven't set up the letter number grid thing. Alright, in front of this passageway, there is a stone statue. The stone statue is that of a soldier, apparently holding some ancient stone sword. The face of the statue has long since been worn away, perhaps by something falling off from above, or it just crumbled and wore off. You can't really make out much in the way of the features of the knight, but you can tell that it is clearly holding some giant stone sword. The passageway leads down into darkness. Do you recognize any heraldry on the statue? Well, there aren't really any heraldic marks on the statue. No one's really ever taken a good look at it before, so, kind of... Not that you would know that. So you spend a moment to kind of look over the statue, and you kind of go up and down, and you're not really seeing too much that might be a mark of any sort. Night trace! Night trace, thank you. Jesus. I really appreciate that, Night trace. Wow. That's crazy. I don't know what to do with that. I think Night Trace is just trying to buy him buy himself into the next chat RPG. That was not for the last dab. We're not doing that tonight. I have to work tomorrow. All right. So here's the spiel. You take a look around the statue, and you're kind of eyeing it up and looking from side to side, trying to see if there's any marks on it. You don't see anything. It looks like there might have at one point in time on one of the vambraces of its arm had been some sort of mark, but it's too faded, it's too worn. The stone is smooth. You can tell there were marks there, but you can't make out what they are. Night Trace, you now have all of the XP. Congratulations, that is a mountain of XP. I think that earns you something like 550 or 5 or something like that. It's a lot. So, if you're wondering how the redemption system works, I'm sure you probably already know, but it's on the page. If you click on the link, you can get to the redemption page. All right. Do we know the party adventures or no? Story. Oh, do we know the past party of adventurers? No, you don't really know who they were or what they did. Obviously, metagaming is a thing in here, so, I mean... Yeah, Valantrix, it's been a very fine month for bits. I'm not going to complain. I do enjoy running this stream, and it helps pay the bills. In character, yeah. All right, so that's what you see. Fable. Taking a look over the statue, you don't really notice anything out of the ordinary. It just looks like an old worn statue. With your excellent dwarven eyes, you take a look into the passageway, and you see a staircase going down. You can clearly see from this distance that it goes down, levels out after about 15 feet or so, or 10 feet or so, and then goes down into darkness. Your dark vision lets you see a bit, but you don't see anything out of the ordinary. It looks like a ordinary stone passageway that goes down about 20, 30 feet or so, maybe then takes a turn. It's a little hard to see from this angle. Yeah, you would know that the goblin went missing. You've curled up with him on more than one night for warmth in winter. You street urchins have to stay together. There's just a big street urchin pile where all the street urchins get warm together. So, what would you like to do, Story? Or shall I say Fable? What's Fable up to? I'm sure it's all perfectly safe. You spit down the staircase, clang my maul against the wall, and then wait a bit. Okay. Yeah, you huck a loogie down there and bang your maul against the wall. It makes a tremendous clatter. But after waiting a few moments, nothing seems to happen. There's no one who comes to assail you or assault you. You're kind of just left standing there. There's a light drizzle starting to rain. The weather outside is turning kind of nasty, actually, but nothing you can't handle. What would you like to do now? Alright, you slowly creep down the stairs expecting an ambush. Alright, well, you make your way down the stairs, and, your metal armor is loud and noisy. Anyone, not to mention the fact that you banged your maul against the wall. You yourself are a walking, clattering claptrap. You are as noisy can be. So you begin making your way down the stairs, and, if there's anybody down here, they're going to know you're coming. Of course, yeah. I'm sure it's going to go great. Alright, so you make it to the bottom of the stairs. You see now that the passageway goes on for about 20 feet and then turns to the east. It is dark down here. However, your dark vision allows you to kind of be able to see it just fine. So I'm assuming you have your maul out. You don't see anything else. There doesn't appear to be anybody coming to rush you or attack you. Yeah, you keep hoping they come running to you, but as of yet, you have seen none of them. What is your next move? Poke about the place. All right. So, are you moving forward? Is that the plan? The area you're in right now, you poke about. All right, yeah, you don't find anything, so you move forward. Well, good old Fable. You go forward about 10 feet, and you know what's coming. You've seen it. You creep forward about 10 feet, and the floor opens up in front of you. Suddenly, where there was a passageway, there is now a pit. It's not a huge pit, it's only 5 feet across, but it does look quite deep. So, Fable, I'm going to need you to make a reflex save. As a fighter, this is not exactly your, this is not exactly your forte. But you need to avoid falling in the pit first. So the first thing I need you to do... Story, that's not good. That's not great. Yeah, well that helps. Story, you're doing great. This is going just perfectly. You got this. So, Story, you're about to fall down the pit. Would you like to burn one of those 2 rerolls? Reroll, there it is. Alright. Yeah, there we go. Gotta burn those somehow. There you go, 19. Yeah, you hop right over the pit. The pit opens up in front of you and you're like, ah! And you're just about to teeter into the pit when suddenly a spring in your step as if thousands of bits rain down upon you and you leap right. Yeah, you're a god. Yeah, no, this is gonna be great. Okay, so you leap right across the pit and land on the other side. The door of the pit. You can now see down there. It looks like there's a an old what was it? What was the other weapon that's down there? There's a mace down there, or a morning star. That's right, a morning star and the remnants of a dead flower. To be fair, if there's enough weapons littering down in there, it's going to start hurting people who fall into it. All right, so you've leapt across. You can see down into the pit, but as you are looking, the trapdoor is slowly ratcheting back closed. So, just be witty and I'll follow you. That happens sometimes. It's random. Alright, so, Story, you've made it across. Fable is now across. What would you like to do? You scream, come at me, devils. I missed that. Yeah, that echoes out of the stone passageway, but nobody comes to greet you. Can you mark the pit so it says trap? So if you were on the other side, you could like scratch on the wall to note that. But if you do it on this side, no one will be able to read it until it's too late. You don't have any chalk. Yeah, you don't have chalk. But you could use like the pommel stone of your maul to scratch the floor or the wall. But like I said, you're now across, so you'll either need to jump back, or you'll have to wait till later. Oh, it's for your return journey so that you remember. Oh, okay. Yeah, sure. Okay. Yeah. You scratch on the wall, trap. I'm assuming in Dwarven, because you're a dwarf, right? I mean, yeah, alright. So you scratch in Dwarven, trap, and then scratch it and put an arrow towards the pit spot. Perfect. Alright. Yeah, that's great. Helping everybody else out. You're doing great work. Alright, so okay, you've done that. Now what would you like to do? Creep forward. Alright, well, you make your way up to the corner, take a look around, and you see a passageway leading to another chamber. Let's see here. Maul at the ready, of course. So, let me go ahead and turn that one off. Alright, there we are. Okay, so you creep around the corner and approach a large chamber. There's a doorway to the north and a doorway to the south. The dust in this room has been disturbed. It looks like there have been other creatures here, both heading north and south. You can't even really tell which one was more recent. Opposite you, there is a dais, a stone dais, atop which is a black stone throne, carved to look like skulls and bones. Although the front of the throne, where the two armrests are, there are two spots missing, one on each side, that look like There were giant skulls that could sit in those spots, but they're missing. Slumped over in the throne is a old, yellowed, brittle-looking skeleton. It is wearing ancient vestments of crumbling cloth. From this distance, you can see something brass or coppery sitting in its lap, in the vestments in its lap. You can see that from this distance. In front of it, on the dais, is a pile of bones. Just kind of scattered about right there in the middle of the dais. And that is what you see. The bones look like they might be dwarf bones. Might be. You never know. Ah, alright, so yeah. No, I follow you on that. So you start letting loose a funeral hymn. It's a low dwarven dirge kind of thing. They're well known for that. Lots of like, yeah, very deep, echoing, bellowing noises. Taking a look around, could you define a little bit more what that means? Are you entering the room? Are you walking up towards the throne? Are you walking towards the doors? What are you doing? Because if you're just standing at the entrance and looking around, that's kind of what I already described to you. I figured that's what you were doing. Entering the room a bit. Okay. Are you walking up to the dais? Okay. So you make your way up towards the dais, and as you do so, you can feel waves of terror washing off of this skeleton. They're penetrating your very soul. They make you question your strength, your resiliency, your resolve. I need you to make me a will save. As a fighter, this isn't exactly your best stat, but could be worse. So go ahead and give me that will save. That's a d20. I think your bonus on this is going to be like a 5. Maybe a 4. Hey, well done. All right, you banish any thoughts of fear. They don't bother you at all. And as you step onto the dais, you are confronted. The clattering bones. The bones begin to clatter as they pull themselves back together and reassemble into a skeleton. Fable. Yeah, you're gonna have to smash the skeleton. The dwarf skeleton just stood up in front of you. Can you go ahead and roll initiative? Oh, I've got a very good initiative score. I've got you. So, here's what happens. The first thing that happens, these bones reassemble themselves, and the skeleton immediately lashes out at you with its claws. It doesn't seem to have a weapon, almost as if its weapon was left down a pit back in the other room. Okay, so it's going to slash at you 3 times with claws. The first attack is really going to be the only one that really has much of a chance to hit since you're a fighter, but we'll go ahead and give it a shot. 13 plus 6 is 3, 4, 17. Check your AC. I think that's actually going to hit. Yes, it is. Just barely. Alright, so you are hit by the skeleton. Its claw does not do too much damage. 6 plus 2, that's 8. Ooh, that was a terrible wound. Every time I'm like, I don't know, this shouldn't be too bad. Blah, it's murdering you. So the claw rips across your neck, just getting underneath the edge of your helm and getting at the soft meat underneath, and blood begins pouring down your breastplate. It attacks you again. 12 is not going to be enough, and for its last attack, it's going to try and claw you a third time. Well, begone, fiend! You are going to take double damage, and to keep life simple, I'm just going to double whatever this is. 3, 5, 10. So, you have taken 16 damage. You are down to 6 hit points! 6! Oh, you're trying to force me to reroll. I see what you're trying to do. Yeah, sure. You know what? I'm going to give that to you. Everybody's thrown so many bits. I'm going to let you force me to reroll that one die. That's fine, but that's it. You're out of rerolls. I will reroll the crit. Alright, fine. Here we go. Nah, I miss. Alright, you take no damage. You're still at 16. There you go. Well done. Well done. Alright, so that was its turn. It is now your turn, Fable. You have the maul in hand and can attack at your leisure. Alright, so it is your turn. You have 3 actions. You are already adjacent to the skeleton. It was right there. Your weapon is already drawn, so you can pretty much attack. Go right ahead. Go ahead and, yep, there we go. A 10. 10 plus, let's see, fighter. Yes, that's going to hit. Congratulations. Yes, for a fighter, that is certainly going to hit. That is high enough. So, that's not a crit, though. So, you're using a maul. So, go ahead and roll me a d10. It doesn't get bonus damage, but I don't get any resistance. I have resistance against everything except for bludgeoning. Oh, and I'm not there anymore. Well, you don't have to roll any more dice. You smash the skeleton, it is shattered, and now permanently destroyed. That's it. The skeleton is now gone. There is no more skeleton in this room. I need to make a note of that. Alright. That is that. The skeleton is now gone in this room. The first time anybody encountered it, it was a zombie. Oh, to be clear, that was the skeleton on the floor. So, Steve, yeah, no, that was the skeleton on the floor, not the one in the throne. So, yeah. So, what do you do now, Fable? The skeleton in the throne didn't even move when any of that happened. As far as you can tell, it's just an inanimate skeleton. I'm sure that's what it is. Night Trace, thank you for stopping by. We stream every Tuesday and Saturday. Tuesdays at 8, Saturdays at 4 p.m. Thanks for swinging by, Night Trace. And thank you for all the bits. I really do appreciate that. That means a lot. Thank you. So, Fable, what do you do now? Did you say destroy the skeleton? Is that what you're doing? Yeah, Night Trace. Well, if you hit the reminder thing, you'll get notified whenever I go live. So you're going to try and destroy the skeleton. All right. Fable. I need you to make a d20 roll to attack the skeleton in the chair. Go ahead and make that roll. As you are now close, you can see that there is indeed a brass ring with a tiny gemstone sitting in its lap. Undoubtedly, this is the one the Baron wants. An 18. That's going to hit. You hit. Go ahead and roll a d10 damage. Yeah. It's fine. Go ahead. You rolled a d20. You're going to want to try and roll a d10. Yeah, no worries. I figured. Go right ahead. 4. So 4 plus your strength, which is going to be another 4, is a total of 8. So you deal 8 points of damage. Here's what happens. Your maul slams into the skeleton. And you were expecting, just like the previous skeleton, this thing to just shatter into a million pieces. But when you hit it full bore with your maul, it's almost like you hit a wall. Your maul hits it, and it moves. But the moment it does so, none of its bones crack or anything, and you expected them to just explode. But instead, you heard a crunch, and then a clatter as, all of the vertebrae snapped into place as it went from being slumped over to being, fully standing, or fully sitting up. And as it does so, its arms grab the side of the throne, and it turns its head and stares at you. Now, there's another thing that happened as well. Black and blue flames, swirled up the bones, traveling up your maul and burning you. So you're going to take that. Let me go ahead and roll that damage. Hold on, I'm not done yet. So, that did 16 damage to you. I rolled a 1 and a 5, and it did 10 more than that. So it did 16, which puts you at at 1? You're at 1. Spit in its mouth. So, it leans forward, its head turns sideways, and as it does so, it just opens its maw. Its jaw opens, and the black kind of pits of its eyes seem to grow deeper and deeper the more its mouth opens. So as it's opening its mouth, the black pits of its eyes seem to be receding into giant pits. I need you to make me a will save. If you make this will save, then you can have an action. Yeah, I'll let you run through the door if you make the will save first, but you gotta do that first. It gets its reaction when you hit it. Here it is. 14 is not enough! So, Fable, you run to the south door, and you get to it, and you reach your hand out and try and touch the handle, and your hand goes right through it, and you're like, what? No! No! I must escape! And you turn and look behind you, and you see your body slumped to the floor. I love how you guys gave it another body. Well done. Your body slumps to the floor, and as you look back, the skeleton stares at you, its mouth still open, and you feel yourself now being pulled back into the skeleton. Screaming, crying, pulling at the floor. You can't find purchase, nothing. You're not substantial anymore. And moments later, you are drawn into the skeleton's open maw. And everything goes dark. Thank you for playing, Story. You've done an excellent service to the stream. That was fantastic. Thank you very much for playing. You did really, really, really well until your luck ran out, and then it went real south.